Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Now, I want to first off apologize for my voice. I'm still feeling sick. I mean, I haven't taken any tests, but I'm pretty sure I caught at least whatever my sister and my dad have, which is basically amounts to the flu. So this stream is going to be on the relatively short side. Now, I'm going to touch on some major stuff. Well, when I say major stuff, I mean like major points in this episode that either don't make any sense or just outright stupid, pretty much. And we're on episode 4, and still nothing really of any significance is fucking happening. Pretty much, it's really just Galadriel needing a Snickers bar. Pretty much in this episode is from what I can sum it up in regards to that. I'll get to that in a minute. But like I said, apologize for my voice. I have my water here, but I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible so I'm not speaking for a long time because of how I'm feeling. And I have my Lord of the Rings book right here as well to show you all again why the timeline doesn't make any sense. Now, they're supposed to be working from the timeline, right? They're supposed to be working from the timeline. Yes, they don't have the rights to actual Second Age histories. All right, they only have rights to the appendices. But what's happening in the show, based on what you can read, that we all can read in the timeline, nothing adds up, pretty much. But from the top, I see Trey. It says, "Hey, Mar, just finished the episode. Holy shit, what a bore." Yeah, basically, the elves took our jobs, pretty much. And I'll get to that scene. And I was watching that scene and going, the implication is this is the first elf in, years that's just touched your shores, and yet you're worried that the elves are going to take your jobs again? What? Or, not again, but, at all? What? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense. And I see Pepper Onion Soup, hello. Says, I have not watched a single episode, not getting the hate views. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say how I'm watching them, but don't even hate watch it. Don't even hate watch it if you can help it, pretty much. Nicole, see, yeah, don't worry, you're not missing anything. Yeah, couldn't get past episode 1. Yeah, you're not. Sorry, kind of want a Snickers bar now, Sword of Nerves. Yeah, sorry. That's maybe that's what it made me think of with Galadriel. It's like the Snickers commercials. Like, you're not yourself if you don't have a Snickers or something like that. Or if you're hungry. Give her a fucking Snickers bar. So why don't you make a meme with that? Mr. Bentham, hello. Jeremiah, what's up? Soul Assassin, hello. Shane, hello. Good to see you. Chunk, hello. Good to see you as well. And here's your clip. I gotta find it. I gotta play this for Trey as well.
Me. Oh, what up, my knitter?
I forgot. But yeah. But welcome, everybody. This show made me realize it would probably be more productive to jack off while on the toilet instead of washing this trash. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, it's a trap. Hello, good to see you. Troubled Cat, what's up? John42, hello. Yeah, well worn, pretty much. I mean, I think the worst part is it's the fatigue and my voice. It's kind of hovering around the chest area as a result. So that's probably primarily why I'm going to be keeping this stream on the short side. Megatron just comes and says, "I like butt cheeks." I thought it was boobs, but anyway, what's up? Yeah, Numenor. I can't even do it. What the? I hear one more rolling R. Taking our jobs was funny, and South Park was completely out of place in the series. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As King of the Squibs, hello, good to see you. All right, so I'm gonna bring up the share screen. Hold on. Why is it not letting me share? Window, no. It's not even letting me share the... Not even letting me share an application. Well, let me see something. There it goes. All right. But here it is, all right? Again, trying to pass themselves off as adapting anything from J.R.R. Tolkien, but it is what it is. Hey, Snyder, Steppenwolf, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah, I know, even the Pinocchio knows. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you, Trey. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm completely out of it right now. But anyway, so I'm just going to kind of skip through parts. Well, we find out who Adar is, pretty much. We find out who Adar is. And it was pretty freaking obvious based on just the outline that you see as he's walking up to Elendil. Actually, no, it starts out with Muriel doing what's called a blessing of the children. So basically, it's kind of like an equivalent, I guess, of Numenorian baptism, but what the fuck ever. And she sees, all right, hears rumblings, and sees this tidal waves engulfing Numenor. All right, implying that she's having a premonition. All right, implying that she's having a premonition. Now, how she's having a premonition is like found out pretty much, or at least is illustrated later on. If you've seen the trailers or any of the teasers, you can figure out how she's having a premonition pretty much. You can figure out how she's having this premonition. So she's seeing Numenor's downfall. All right, she's seeing Numenor's downfall. Okay, I'm having my Lord of the Rings book open and ready. All right, because there's a set, right? There's a set, right, where Sauron is kind of like, it's beginning to stir again in Middle Earth and things like that. As well as the forging of the Rings of Power, right? It has to be close to when the Rings of Power gets forged, okay? Pretty much. She's having this premonition. All right. Hold on. Now we see Pharazôn, okay? Okay. Pharazôn is not a character to be emulated at fucking all, pretty much. He's not a character to be emulated at fucking all. Alright? He basically, I don't want to say usurps the throne necessarily, but he forces Muriel into basically marriage. When her father, Palantir, dies. Okay? So, Pharazôn becomes the 25th ruler or king of Numenor. Okay? 25th king of Numenor. And 25th and last king of Numenor, I should say, pretty much. And you can't help but think that how on the nose it is. How fucking on the nose it is by race swapping Muriel and keeping him white. Not only keeping him white, but aging him. Fucking aging him. He's not that old. He's not that old in the timeline or anything like that when he takes over as King of Numenor. Yeah. And this right here, this character right here, the one in the white who's walking up to him, okay? All right, the one who's in white that's walking up to him, okay, is another non-canonical character that I didn't realize they added to this series. And they gave our Pharazôn a son. They gave him a son. I've been watching Kate Blanchett movies, yeah. Alright? Yeah, and they're related, too. They're related. I know, but they aged him. They aged the character. So the actor himself is not that old, but they made him look like Father Time. So they made him look like he could be her father, or at least close enough, in a sense. Or they aged her up a little bit as well. They're both not that old. They're both not that old in the timeline, and it's like, at least when these events are supposed to be taking place, they're not that old. But he looks like Father Time, and you can't help but think, like I said, it's on the nose. How on the nose it is. The fact that they race swap her and they keep him white. Toxic white male. He takes over the throne away from her, even though she's technically the rightful ruler in a sense. Pretty much. But yeah, that's a non-canonical character right there. They gave Ar-Pharazôn a son. They named him Kemen, pretty much. Ar-Pharazôn's not old enough to have a son at this point, or at the very least, not old enough to have a son that old. And in the actual lore, doesn't even have a son. Doesn't have a son. But they give him one. Why? Fucking reasons. About as many reasons as they gave Isildur a non-canonical sister. Because reasons. Because fucking reasons. I don't know why they insist on changing it. Well, if they had any amount of integrity, they would have said, we're not adapting anything because we don't have the rights to the actual Second Age histories. Because they only have rights to the appendices. Right? Okay? You only have rights to the appendices. And this is about, this is pretty much start of it. So you see, how he's teaching his son the art of statecraft, things like that, which nudge nudge wink wink, pretty much nudge nudge wink wink. He takes over. Yeah, elf lover, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense, but there he is, and he's talking about how there's rumblings. The son says there's rumblings in the streets. Bit of a squall, and here's where it's okay, elf ships on our shore. Okay, what elf ship? An elf appears on one of your own fucking ships, and but yet you have them going, elf ships on our shore? Workers who don't sleep, don't tire, things like that. Calling Tarmuriel an elf lover. Elf lover. First off, this also shows how bad the writing is, because from the previous episode, did Tarmuriel give any fucking indication that she was an elf lover? If anything, she gave every indication that she was rather antagonistic towards the elves. Now, you find out why she's antagonistic in this episode, but that she's antagonistic. So why are they calling her an elf lover? Yeah, never mind, that's stupid. Live-action version of South Park, pretty much. One elf shows up on their shores. And granted, that's one of the guys who got beaten up by Hellbrand. And now, the next day or whatever, he's causing a squall, a rabble, stirring a rabble into basically mutiny or treason. And if the elf were here now, this is our Pharazôn. Coming to quiet things down. Calls them a gaggle of mewling children. Men or mewling children. We are the sons and daughters of the Edain. Elros, alright? Elrond's brother, who was the first king. Again, they're name dropping him. He's an elf, by the way. He's an elf. Alright? Okay. Elrond's brother. So he's saying, hold on, going back. We are sons and daughters of the Edain, of Elros, an elf. Yeah, Tolkien hated allegory, yes. Yeah, Yahtzee sympathizer, pretty much. Hey, Tim. Okay. Now, I wish I was a bit more. I wish I was a bit more lively for this, because this, again, makes absolutely no fucking sense. Because he literally is name-dropping an elf who was the first king of Numenor. Now, granted, yes, there were two factions that split in Numenor, because there was a side that sided with the elves and the side that sided with Morgoth, alright? The side that sided with the elves won, okay? That's pretty much what's been handed down to the thousands of years history, pretty much. And yet, now it's, elf lover. Using phrases like elf lover. Yeah. And he chose to be human. He chose to be counted amongst the humans. Like I said, he was the first king of Numenor. Chose to be counted amongst men. Instead of amongst his own kind. And became the first king of Numenor. But now, I'm just like fucking flabbergasted at the writing in this fucking show. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. Okay? So he quiets the rabble down. Could threaten us? Yeah. See, the thing is, yeah. One elf castaway. Hey, Corey. One elf castaway, and they're already... I'm not saying I would understand this, necessarily, but if there were, like, more elves, then the writing would make sense, because then you would have that. They're taking the stupidity of taking our jobs. But it would be an actual plural. But one fucking elf, and you're already trying to claim that the elves are going to take your jobs away? Really? Take their jobs away? Remove elves and put a minority in there, pretty much. What does that make these people appear like? I'm rooting for a dollar too, pretty much. But what does that make them appear like? Remove the word elves. Yeah, I know that hand gesture. No worries, Bree. But remove the word elves. What does that make them? What is that? What like? Where does your mind go? Like, you know, with the writing there, where does your mind go? Can this show be any more on the fucking nose at times with the identity politics? Can it be any more immigration? Immigrants, they're taking our fucking jobs. Can it be any more on the fucking nose? Team Star on at this point. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much Team Star on at this point. I love this. We're going to build a wall around Numenor and have the elves pay for it. That's what it sounds like. Numenor sounds like CNN watchers, yeah. That's what it sounds like. It's really on the fucking nose. So don't sit there, and when I say don't sit there and tell me, I'm talking about like to the Twitter mobs that are standing for this show, that are trying to defend the writing for the show. Don't sit there and tell me that this show isn't woke, that this show has no identity politics, when it's literally right fucking there. Where you can't look at it, but that you're having them against immigration, in a sense. And that is the allegory that Tolkien would hate. That is the allegory that Tolkien would hate. That's it. Right fucking there. Yeah, and change the way for the reason why they were resentful of elves. See, I wish my voice wasn't going, because I would keep going, but it's right there. It's right fucking there. Alright? So Ar-Pharazôn quiets them down. Stupid cats. Okay, this is his son. Again, like I said. Right here. Non-canonical character. Has the hots for Isildur's non-canonical sister. Yeah, Donald Farazon, yeah. as I said, it's really on the nose. It's really on the nose. Yeah. Okay, I gotta... Hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry, my dog opened my door and I had to let her on the bed. Thank you for everything. I have a hot, sick voice. But yeah, but that's the reason why I'm sick. Alright? So, among other things, yeah, but it's definitely not because they're taking our jobs or anything like that. It's definitely not because they're taking our jobs bullshit. But there's the allegory. There's the fucking allegory right there. Strikes bad boys, yeah. Pretty much. What is the most likable character? Well, fucking hell. Sorry. Be right back. Alright. Okay, what is the most likable character in the series so far? I wish I could say if the show weren't so fucking boring. If the show weren't so fucking boring, but I'd say probably, even with the low bar, so far Elendil. So far Elendil. But again, not saying much. Not fucking saying much. Or maybe Prince Durin, yeah. He's another one. Like, Elendil and, like, Prince Durin, those actors at least put amount of fucking effort into their roles. At least they give them at least some personality where it's like, even if you're not liking what's written, or what could be lore breaking or anything like that, at least they put personality in there. So it's like I said, the bar is so low at this point. It's so low. It shouldn't be the reason why you pick anyone to be the best. So like, see, Trey saying Disa, Bishop Benson Disa turned out okay. Yeah. Let me see, skip through this part. He has a hots for Arion. Okay. So now, in-name only Galadriel and in-name only Elendil are coming to in-name only Tarmariel, and they're showing her what we found. Showing her what we've found. They found, pretty much. And that is, here's proof. Somehow they figured out that the symbol that Galadriel found, they're deducing it to be a map. But other than that, Galadriel has no fucking proof at all whatsoever, other than feminine intuition at this point, that Sauron is even I mean, we kind of know based on the fact that the orcs are doing shit that, yeah, and we know Sauron is the big bad of the Second Age, knowing our knowledge of the lore. But I'm saying, in terms of the writing, in terms of the fucking writing, she has no proof. She has no proof other than I'm right. Other than I'm right. Other than hashtag believe all women. Pretty much. Yeah, Tar Palantir. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you, Legends. Galadriel got canceled, yeah. It is in name only. It is in name only. Alright, so they're bringing their evidence. Alright? Yeah, this is a map. OMG! Alright? Titar Muriel. Okay. Cultural citizenry. Okay. Now here's where I'm like, if they make him Aragorn light, I will like riot. Okay. There's a there's a tempest in me scene. All right. So while Southland, their companion, assaults our citizenry, people are dying. I believe the man you hold in your dungeons is no common brawler, but the lost heir and exile to the throne of the Southlands. All right. Okay. Now here, Taramariel makes a joke at Elendil's expense, all right? And I suppose Elendil here is a runic emperor, all right? I suppose Elendil here is a runic emperor. Silver rolls are fucking ours. Yeah, this is where they make the joke about Elendil nobility, right fucking here. So she makes a joke, and then Elendil says this. See if I can... Just a petty lord, actually. Just a petty lord, actually. Two things. Elendil, per lore, is a fucking lord. He is a lord, which makes him of nobility. And weren't they saying in the previous episode, wasn't there a line dropped by either Muriel or Ar-Pharazôn that he was once of nobility? So when you have a phrase like once of nobility, that generally means no more, essentially. That, like, you know, like you were once of nobility, but now you're either whatever. You're no longer tied to that nobility. He makes a joke at his own expense, but he's a lord. Yeah. Who the fuck knows, Roxham? Who the fuck knows? The showrunners don't even fucking know. The writers don't even fucking know. They can't even keep the story straight. And now they gotta knock him down to make a joke at his own expense that he's just a petty lord. The man, all right? Petty. Especially when you drop the word petty there. The man who, along with Gil-galad, brings down Sauron, essentially. But we know Sauron is still functioning of sorts in the Third Age, but regardless, brings down Sauron at the end of the Second Age. Leads the men, while Gil-galad leads the elves. He is fucking nobility. And they do this shit. Yeah, there's no distinction from the Southlands and Numenor. No distinction. Now you could tell even in the movies there was some distinction. But you can't tell. You can't tell in this show. He should have a bigger role, yes. And Galadriel still has not picked up on the fucking fact that Elendil means elf lover. That Elendil means elf lover. I don't know, maybe that name should kind of tip her off. That, I don't know, he could maybe be trusted. She's an elf, she hasn't fucking picked up on that. Yeah, pretty much. Maybe Harad, I don't know, but at the same time, it's like... The writing is so bad that, like, if it's supposed to be Harad, then there should be at least enough hints dropped that we can start putting the pieces together. And they haven't even dropped that in 4 episodes. They even have dropped that in 4 episodes. But it can't be Harad. Or at the very least... Or maybe it could be Harad, I don't know. But it's close to... It's implying that at least the stronghold of Mordor is going to be close. Pretty much. She's very flat. I'm saying, like, it's like the hints are that it's most likely Mordor, but it's south. It's more south, so it's like I don't know. It's called the Southlands, and they even have non-canonical villages there. Non-canonical villages. But she is very fucking flat. But anyway, this is where he makes a joke at his own expense. I can't even do it. Even while I especially can't do it while I'm sick. I can't do the fucking rolling R's. But here it is, alright? So, Galadriel, right? Look at that. Now, who does that, and at least it brought someone to my mind. Who does that bring to your mind? But with your backing, they might unite behind his banner. Unite behind his banner. Who does that allude to? It alluded to someone in my mind. I was curious to the chat. Who does that allude to? Trump. I see Trump. I say Trump. See traps like worm tongue. Yeah, it rhymes with Schmaragorn. Remember the rightful king of Gondor? Unite behind him. The men of the West unite behind him. Under one banner. Following the true king. Whoopi Goldberg. But they're either dropping hints. It could be red herring hints, but they're either dropping hints that he's Sauron in disguise. In which case it would make his chastising of Galadriel even fucking worse. Or that he's like Aragorn Light. He's Aragorn Light. Yeah, what? Return of that king, yeah. Yeah, bad reboot production. Yeah, I'm saying, like, I'm not saying I expected a lot. I'm gonna hydrate, don't worry. I'm not saying I expected a lot. Or how, like, again, how on the nose could you be? I should have had my sister get me some, like Gatorade or something. There it is. You put aside the bad boy come. Yeah. And I see Roxanne's like, what men will unite? It's a bunch of dirty villagers. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So she's trying to get the queen, which is mine. She's trying to get the queen to unite. Go after Sauron, because she says, again, offers no real proof that Sauron is even still alive. Like, we who know the lore know he's still stirring. But she offers no real proof other than, hey, this looks like a map to the Southlands. Alright? And I found this, somehow found this on the northernmost parts of Middle-earth. When she found it at the northernmost part of Middle-earth, and yet the orcs are working in the close to the southernmost parts. You would think when you have an elven watch group there, because there were humans who worshipped Morgoth in that region, don't you think that maybe Galadriel would, I don't know, fucking started there? And the fact that it was like a few centuries, which means like she was all over Middle-earth and back, there and back again, all over Middle-earth and back. No citing one orc. Do you think that maybe she would say, hey, I'm going to stick in the south, roughly? Because we might not be able to trust these people. But no, she goes north. One crappy village, the other was destroyed by orcs. All the subjects fit in a single tower. Yeah. Shire would kick their ass. Yeah. Paul Muad'Dib. Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Dollar Tree Aragorn. Alright. Okay. So. The forging alliance between Numenor and elves. Which should be between Gil-galad and Elendil, in a sense. should be between Gil-galad and Elendil. Alright? But we have Galadriel to thank for putting that idea out there. You have Galadriel to thank for putting that idea out there. I'm not even 10 fucking minutes into the show. But we have Galadriel to thank. Alright? Fight with me to save the men of the Southlands before Sauron claims land as his own. Muriel says no. No. Alright. Hold on. Where's this? King or Carpenter the Southlander will face judgment. The audience is ended. Alright? So, oh look! The Karen emerges. Yeah, you believe all else. Gil-galad will be Gilgamad. Yeah, okay, I'll leave. Yeah. Alright? The Karen emerges. Right? Muriel says no. Yeah, what? You would fucking think that. You would fucking think that if they were actually knew what they were talking about, if this was supposed to be the central plot of this series, but no. She just happened to float into a Numenorian boat. End up in Numenor. Alright? And there it is. Then she demands, and I have little choice but to ask for another. Your father, the king. Alright? Okay? You should not speak of matters you do not understand. And she literally tells a queen. Now, again, I know Galadriel's royalty as well. She's royalty as well. But you would think for a... Oh, yeah, I'll save this for when she's talking with Hellbrand, alright? But the Karening has emerged. You should stand aside that I might present my proposal to one who holds the authority to answer it. Basically telling, bitch, you have no authority over me. Alright. I love this. Hold on. I gotta take this back. And what authority do you speak, elf? Hold on. Grasping for a handhold in a tempest. There. Hold on. Let me get that line. Yes. There's a tempest in me. There's a tempest in me. Even Elendil's looking at her looking like, you need a Snickers. The writing is so fucking atrocious. She literally has to speak to the manager. Literally. It's like, alright, I want to speak to the manager. And she goes straight to jail. Yeah. Cringe. Yeah. This is literally the equivalent of, I want to speak to your manager. And it will not be quelled by you, Regent. Really? Alright. And there, boom. She's... Do not pass go, do not collect $200, straight to jail. Okay? Straight to jail. Even worse in context, yeah. And here's where she gets... Well, not here. Okay, a little bit later, she gets chastised by Hellbrand. I'm going to say for what I want to say about Galadriel until then. Okay? But here, back to Isildur. Now, this makes absolutely no sense. Okay? This scene makes absolutely no sense in one regard. Okay? Isildur wants to quit the cadets, but his father doesn't want him to. Okay? He has more cringe dialogue, pretty much. But his father doesn't want him to. So and this voice calls to him. This female voice calls to him. Okay? Now. Female voice calls to him. So, he's pretty much like, fuck this. I'm going to deliberately get myself kicked out. So, let's go to the rope. Which has his team clamoring to secure it. He takes the blame. Okay? He takes the blame. To his credit, he takes the blame. You know why he's doing it. Yeah. So this guy is seeing right through him. He's seeing right through him. Alright? The way the writing is implied here. He's seeing right through him. He's like, I've seen you there 100 times. You know what to do. You wouldn't let it fucking slip. Yeah, pretty much. You wouldn't let it fucking slip. You're off the sea guard. Hold on. Alright, I can't. Let me see something. God damn it. Alright, whatever. I can't. Because, think about the previous episode if you watched it. Okay? Think about the previous episode if you watched it. This makes absolutely no fucking sense. That this captain would not only remove Isildur, you're off the sea guard, but he removes Isildur's friends. The previous episode, when one guy screwed up, he was kicked off. So what reason can you figure out for this captain to kick off, but not only Isildur, but his teammates, essentially? Oh, wow. No. It makes absolutely no sense. I was watching this yesterday. As tired as I was watching this and go, wait a minute. Previous episode, he kicked the one kid out who screwed up. But yet, now he's kicking out all three just so there would be tension between Isildur and his friends. It's literally because of reasons. It's literally because the plot requires there to be tension between Isildur and his friends, therefore we're going to have all three of them kicked out, but it's not going to make any fucking sense. It's not going to make any fucking sense. At least how it transpired. They looked like they were pulling their weight. Because they were working. He let the rope go, and they went to go grab the rope. So they were working. Now, if they had been implying up until this point, showing in a sense that maybe they weren't exactly pulling their weights, like Isildur, they didn't want to be there either, then maybe I could see that. But for the most part, everything written in the previous episode indicated that his two friends, wanted to be there. They wanted to be part of the Sea Guard because they wanted to command their own ships. So they wanted to be there. They were pulling their weight. But they get kicked off as well. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. And then they drop this line. Hold on, where is it? The West, the real Numenor. Again, what's the West? What's the real Numenor? What member berries are they dropping, pretty much? What member berries are they dropping? Yeah, they would need as much sailors as they can get. So, I don't know, maybe I would buy that they would have been reprimanded or something like that, even though they wouldn't have deserved it, but to get kicked off just because tension, just because reasons, just because we need tension between these three. It makes no sense. Yeah, the acting is just awful in the show. With a couple of exceptions here and there, the acting is overall awful. But his brother's name, in a sense, is dropped. Anarion. Why they don't have Anarion in the show, I don't know. Why they give Isildur a sister, I have no idea. But they name drop Anarion. They name drop his brother. But they don't show him. And they dropped the West, the real Numenor, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, we had to cut this. Theo, yeah, pretty much. Privilege, yeah. But at any rate, like I said, like, just this whole part just didn't make any sense. He's really just there for, and the reasons for the tension do not make any sense. Like, if they were competing about who's the better sailor, then yeah, I could maybe see the tension there. But this, no. I mean, I don't know. You have what in the West that could be other than Valinor. All right, so he has tension. So his friends are angry at him. Well, this one friend in particular is like upset. Something, yeah. See, that's the thing. Like I said, he wanted on that boat since he was big enough to hold an oar. He wanted on that boat. So, like I said, I could understand if they're all three kicked off because all three did not want to be there for whatever reason. But the two there, particularly this one, wanted to be there. And that should have indicated at least something to the ship's captain, but they get kicked off. They get kicked. So now, all right, he's now, the besties are broken up, pretty much. All right. Here's where we see Adar, or father. Here's where we see Adar. Okay. They speak in the black tongue. Adar approaches. He's a fucking fallen elf. He's not mutilated to look like an orc or anything like that. He's a fucking fallen elf. Numenor High, yeah, pretty much. I'm not sure what his sister's purpose is either. She's adding nothing so far to the show. There's Adar. Father. Who first goes to a wounded orc. Right? That's what I brought up in my video. I believe I brought it on my video. I can't remember. Goes to a fallen orc. And acts like a father or something. Mercy kills the orc, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. But this orc is mortally wounded, so Adar mercy kills him. Actually looks like he's tearing up. Actually fucking looks like he's tearing up. Yeah, another Sauron misdirect for normies. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, kills the orc. Then you have the orcs carry him away. Orcs wouldn't give a shit about showing any reverence to their fallen. They would eat the fucker. They would eat him. They're cannibalistic. Smaller ones are supposed to be goblins, but these are supposed to be orcs. Remember in Two Towers? Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. They would fucking eat this orc. They wouldn't even waited till he was dead. They would have started. Free food. Yeah. They would have eaten him. Yes. They gave no fucks about each other. They really, literally did not. And I hate dropping the word literally because it's so overused, especially on Twitter. But they literally would not give a fuck. In a way, yes. In a way, yes. But it's a fallen elf. I would if, like, if I were, actually producing this show and it was, remotely lore accurate, I would have had them start eating their orc right in front of Elendil. Right in fucking front of him. Because they don't give two shits. They really don't give two shits. I would have had them start eating the orc right in front of him. That's what I would have done. Yeah, try to make them sympathetic. But they don't. They carry him off, which makes no sense. So Adar gives Elendil this spiel about how he's been lied to. And he's speaking in Kenya. Alright? Elendil tells him where he's been born. Alright, I want to get to... Goes from speaking in Kenya to English. Hold on. You've been told many lies. Even the rocks and roots now believe them. And that basically the only way to fix Middle Earth is to pretty much destroy it, to untangle it all. Would be to acquire creation of a new world. True. But at the same time, at least at this point in the timeline, at this juncture, when, like, from what we know of orcs, they would have started eating the dying orc. They wouldn't even waited until he was dead. They would have started eating him. So basically giving this speech about how Elendil has been lied to, so forth, and the orc still looks terrible. Yeah. But for some reason they're keeping Elendil alive. You find out why, essentially. And it's really only because this dude here, Adar, needs someone to carry a message to him. To the people. Pretty much. Yeah. Not yet. It's like they basically took the concept of Jedi and Sith from Star Wars and held the elf, like, pretty much. Hey, Nation. Yeah, pretty much. They use his body as a message. Yes. We basically fucked up an elf. And they're better fighters than you all. We can take you out just as easily. Unless you follow us. Unless you swear fealty. Which is basically essentially the message. You find out later. All I can fucking do, Harkin, is this. With the writing. Exactly. I was going to show that. But later, because I have the appendices right here. Okay? Because you see Tar Palantir in this episode. But Tar Palantir doesn't repent until 3175. Okay? Doesn't start repenting until 3175. And then about 80 years after that is when Ar-Pharazôn seizes the scepter. Because Ar-Pharazôn is basically born in 3200. Or roughly around 3200. But the One Ring is forged in 1600. And the Rings of Power are forged anywhere from 1500 to 1590. This timeline's all over the fucking place. Watchtower, give them a message. Alright. Right now we're to the humans. They don't have a lot of food left. Yet they're already cutting rations as it is. They have to cut them again. Theo talks about going to the village during the day when their orcs are fewer to grab food. Right? Okay, I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that idea? When he's told no by his mom, he goes off by himself with his friend. Again, what could possibly go wrong with that idea? What could possibly go wrong? Again, why they would even care about having them swear fealty to Adar when they basically just enslaved them in the first episode? Just overrun them. Just overrun them. Okay, they go to the village, stock up. Theo wants to go into this house. Goes again. It's like a horror movie, pretty much. Goes off by himself. Into the house. So clouds are covering the sun. How convenient. Clouds are covering the sun. His friend runs. And lo and behold, there's an orc. Must have come out from a hole in the ground. Pretty much. I have no fucking clue. You'd think food would have been a fucking priority when they were doing their little exodus to the Elven Watchtower. You'd think food would have been a priority. Because they had how many hours to gather the food and cart it off. But they didn't take it. Alright. He has the Morgul blade on him. And we find out that that's what the orcs have been looking for. Alright? Okay. Theo hides in a well. They're looking for Theo. Yeah. I guess he didn't want to misgender him. I guess he didn't want to misgender him or something. So Theo hides in the well pretty much until nightfall. Back to Elrond and Durin. Foraging of the tower, right, with the help of the dwarves. Again, Celebrimbor is friend of the dwarves. But they give that to Elrond. Because reasons. And all the scene is here for is for Celebrimbor. And think about this. How many days have passed? And they're still wearing the same fucking outfits. I don't know. Mosine. I don't know. They're wearing the same fucking outfits. I don't know, but we find out how Theo discovered the sword in this episode. He should be the main character, yeah. Because he's the one who's friend of the dwarves, and he's a craftsman. He's literally a forger. That's his trade. Okay, he thinks Durin is hiding something from them. Alright, and find out. Okay. Elrond goes to visit Disa. Where he talked to Durin. Okay. Okay. This right here. Rich crone, kiss the stone, polish your gems in gold. Alright? Alright, she's telling where Durin is. Hold on. But you know when I thought about this scene? Hold on, let me find those lines. Hey, Zachariah. Is the movie with The Rock or something where the one actor's undercover as a nanny of sorts for kids? And his father is tied to things that are dubious. And we find out that the song, like the little rhyme that the one little daughter, the younger daughter, is singing, is actually important. Hey, Alphamo. Yeah, pretty much. So it is The Rock? Alright. But remember that movie? Whatever movie that was? Where what the little girl is singing, the rhyme, ends up being important? They literally fucking pulled it from that show. It's not Kindergarten Cop. No, it's with The Rock. Hold on. I was just thinking about it today. From years ago. Was it The Rock? Pacifiers, Vin Diesel. Alright. Thank you. Pacifiers, Vin Diesel. They fucking look the same to me. Whatever. Pacifier. Remember Vin Diesel? Okay? Realize that rhyme is important? They literally pulled this from that. Yeah, pretty much. They pretty much pull this concept from that. You're not really missing much, John 42 at the pacifier. But basically, all right. He's undercover, acting kind of like as a nanny for these kids. Their father is not a bad guy, but he's tied to some dubious shit. And he taught this rhyme to his younger daughter. That ends up being important later on. And that's what this fucking is right here. Rich crone, kiss the stone, polish your gems in gold. Alright? So Disa tries to throw him off the trail. But here, again, okay? What do his elf eyes and ears see? Oh no, there's Durin and Disa talking. Because it literally, look, they're talking. Yes, Durin is telling Disa good job, good. good cover, things like that. And what fucking happens? What do your elf eyes see? It zooms out, and Elrond saw and heard every fucking thing. And yet, the elves in the Southlands could not fucking see a village burning on any one of their patrols. And don't tell me don't tell me that, like, it's a special ability for certain elves or anything like that, for high elves or anything like that, because Legolas does the same shit in Two Towers, and he's a nobility of sorts amongst the elves, because his father is Thranduil, king of the Mirkwood, right? So he's royalty himself. He's not exactly a high elf, all right? And yet he has the sharp eyesight and hearing of the elves. Yeah, he rolled a nat 20. But you're telling me that Elrond is able to do this, and the elves in the Southlands are too fucking stupid to do it? Really? The miles-long trench. Yes. Miles. Because it's Khazad-dûm. It's not a confined space. It's huge. Elrond is special, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But Elrond, okay? Elrond does this. Why couldn't the other elves do it? Because reasons? I don't know. He wasn't exactly banished, because Durin heard his proposal, and you see the dwarves help him build a tower in Region. So the dwarves are helping him, but Durin is keeping this from Elrond, keeping secret from Elrond and Celebrimbor. And that's why Elrond is there. That's why he's returned to Khazad-dûm. Because of that. So he's figuring out, right, that Durin's kind of hiding something. Follows Durin. And what does he decide? Again, like I said, pulls it right from the pacifier. He thinks to himself, this is a door. There must be a password of sorts. So somehow he puts two and two together, and rich crone, kiss the stone, polish your gold, gems and gold, or whatever it is. Stone. And it opens the fucking door. Right out of the pacifier. Right out of the pacifier. Yeah. The trench and destroyed landscape, yeah. Yeah. Those elves couldn't see that, but Elrond can see across miles-long chasm. Not only see, but hear. Yeah. He heard the rhyme from Durin's children. Heard the rhyme from Durin's children. Put two and two together, figured out it was the password, right out of pacifier, pretty much. Figured out that it was of some significance. Or at least, got lucky. Because reasons. Alright? Okay? So the door opens. And what could that be? This is my surprise face. Really there for member berries. Really there for member berries. At this point, pretty much. It's just, hey, you remember Mithril, right? Remember Mithril? Yeah, they don't. They're hiding the dwarf kids. I don't know. All right. Has him swear on the stone. And tells him, lighter than silk, harder than iron. Okay. Hold on. Where's the? In our tongue, gray glitter, pretty much. Yeah. But it's mithril. It's literally member berries, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because that's what the dwarves are digging. Then there's the mine collapses. Again, this chick's in here because of reasons. Just for this guy so far to hit on her. Alright? And she does absolutely nothing in this episode. Absolutely fucking nothing in this episode. Here's where Hellbrand chastises Galadriel like she's a petulant teenager. An elf who's thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. Acting like a petulant teenager and chastised by a human. At this point, Galadriel pretty much would be teaching him about diplomacy, teaching him about the art of basically politics and forming political alliances. She would be teaching him. But he's putting Galadriel in her place. Yeah, no wonder they goes to Jackson, pretty much, yeah. Alright. He says, isn't exactly your usual battlefield, is it? Isn't... Hold on, I'm trying to get his entire line. You do well to identify what is your opponent most fears. And her reaction, her initial thought, alright, when he says, what your opponent most fears, and says, what did she say? And exploit it. They have Galadriel talking about exploiting what her opponent most fears. Now, granted, to exploit what your opponent most fears is not necessarily a bad thing because you want to defeat your opponent. But at the same time, again, this is not Galadriel. She wouldn't... This is not Galadriel. Yeah. She has thousands of years experience at this point. Thousands. And her first... The direction her mind goes first is exploit it. They reduce her. They reduce her character. It says no. Give them a means of mastering it. Alright? And he's basically, again, lecturing her like she's a petulant teenager. Because he's like going through litany of what she did. You got here. First thing you did was you managed to demand a ship, insult her people, defy her orders. And all of a sudden she throws you in a cell. Right? But that wasn't what provoked her anger. She managed, yeah. She made Galadriel stupid also in this sense. Right? She's acting like a spoiled teenager. You gotta make her fucking stupid. Yeah. In this scene. He's like, cause like he's leading her through the He's leading her through the logic exercise. He's leading her through that. Okay, so our Farazan comes and tells her that Muriel has made her decision. Galadriel's gonna be put on a ship and sent away from Numenor. Yeah, not learned a damn thing. And she easily dispatches 4 armed guards. This fight is so fucking bad, I wish I could play it. Hold on. Let's see. Right here. Okay, I'm gonna play it real fast. That's it. That's it. Dispatches them easily. Throws them in the cell. Locks the door. And now Farazan is there with the sword, but he doesn't do anything. That was it. They literally walk into the cell, pretty much. And she leaves. Okay, here's where you see the sister find out that the healer's been kicked out. Not much to this scene, really. Other than they find out the elf escaped. So Galadriel goes to see Muriel, or goes to see Palantir, which would put this, fucking put this anywhere from 3175 to 3255. And yet, in the Second Age, and yet, the rings haven't been forged. And the rings were forged anywhere from 1500 to 1590. They took something that happens about going on 2,000 years later and put it into the timeline 2,000 years roughly prior. Yeah. Yeah. How to become commander. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, she finds out that Palantir is sick. I'm gonna skip this scene because this is where the timeline's all over the place. And this is where they kind of turn Muriel into kind of like a Denethor of sorts. Because this is a scene from one of the teasers or trailers where they show the Palantir. And said that she's had a premonition of Numenor's downfall, which Galadriel also sees. All right. I have no idea. Too many. Not enough. I don't know. So they turn her into a Denethor of sorts because she's seen this as Numenor's future, which is why she's trying to kick Galadriel out, because this future starts with Galadriel's appearance, which never happened. Never fucking happened. Galadriel tries to tell her it might not be the future. It might not be really the future that you saw, but because he says starts with your arrival. All right. All I need to know about this scene, pretty much, is like, I wish I could go more into detail, pretty much. But they kind of turned Miriel into a Denethor of sorts. That's why. This is why she wants to kick Galadriel out. She's seen Numenor's future. Remember what Gandalf? How Gandalf tried to persuade Denethor? Don't, like, basically don't, not in those words, but don't choose a path of fear. Fight. You need to fight. Pull that scene right out of Return of the King. Pull that scene right out of Return of the King. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, back to these people. Theo's friend shows up saying that, lies and says Theo said he would be right behind him. Right, Theo is trying to escape the elves. I don't know what the fuck he's carrying. I guess it's still the rice or something. I would just left the damn shits there. Pretty much. But he's trying to avoid the elves. Or elves, orcs. Sorry. God damn it. Orcs. He's caught. Okay, and you'd think there would be more orcs there because now it's night. And they're not weakened by the sun. Kind of maybe a combination of this, but really just like the scene in Return of the King where Gandalf is trying to tell Denethor that he has to fight. Alright. Lighting is terrible in the scene. Can't really see much of anything. But he's caught by an orc. They want to get the hilt. He's killed by Elendil. He's been let go. Okay. Here's where we see him catch an arrow. Well, let me see. If we see if I can. Okay. Remember the scene in the trailer where he catches an arrow? Right here. Then fires it. That's the same. Yeah, I know. But really all you need to know about this scene is that they're running. They encounter Theo's mother in the woods. To get to the clearing, because it's starting to, it's now the morning, the sun is starting to come up, so the sense of time makes no fucking sense in the show. Because that was pitch black, the scene before. Now it's starting to get light. How far away are they right now? Because the orcs are chasing them. They stopped shooting arrows? Yeah. I don't know. I'm saying it's like, it was pitch black, and now it's turning light. Light. Again, orcs are kind of treated like vampires. They won't step out of the shade. They run back to the tower. Okay, this is the scene we see where Disa is singing. Basically, it's just a plea to the stone for the dwarves to come out alive. That's it. Again, beardless female dwarves. Right here. Right. I still think her accent's not really good, but she's not bad as a character. Doran reveals all of them are alive, but his father has shut down that part of the mine. Again, you know, someone pointed out earlier that the Dwarves of Moria have mithril. Hey, Sultan. Yeah, that was quick, pretty much. That was quick. Harkin. So, father shut down the vein. Durin's upset. Elrond says that he wished he'd had more time to talk with his father. I'm trying to skip through some stuff just because I'm losing my voice. So Durin makes amends with his father. Here's a big takeaway from this scene. Is that they don't trust the elves. Because Durin basically says, I don't trust Gil-galad. That's a big takeaway. That intuition is very powerful. Yeah. It's kind of like whenever the hashtag goes out on Twitter for like hashtag free our girls or something like that. That's essentially what it is. And Elendil gives her the message from Adar. And that is, tell your people may live. If you forsake all claim to these lands, and swear fealty. Pretty much what the message is. Then you find out, here it is. Here it fucking is. This is how Theo found the sword. It was in this dude's barn. It was in this dude's barn. So this dude somehow found a Morgul blade. And this dude somehow knows Sauron will return. Now how? No fucking clue. But he somehow has an inkling that Sauron will return. Alright, let's put it there. How to get... He somehow found it, and he somehow knows that Sauron is stirring. He's going to make a reappearance. Yep. But even then it would just be a relic. So how would he know that Sauron is stirring? How would he know Sauron is stirring? What signs has he seen in the skies? Yeah. Basically, the Master's returning. And the orcs know where the blade is. Alright? Okay? Galadriel's gonna get on us. Send Galadriel away. On this skiff, I guess. I don't know. To Middle Earth. Then they see the petals of the white tree falling like tears. Yeah, I saw that, Heath Nation. I'm kind of not feeling well. I'll watch it when I can. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I don't fucking know. Yeah, but how'd the old man get the mark? How'd they get the mark? Yeah, it's like tears. When the petals fall, it's like the Valar crying. So Muriel decides, hey, we'll fight We'll align ourselves with the elf. We'll fight. Pretty much. Elendil calls for volunteers. Isildur volunteers. His friends do as well. And that's how the episode ends. That's fucking it. That's the entirety of the episode. An hour of nothing. But nothing but more questions because they can't fucking write for shit. But there it is. Mystery box. Well, I said in his. Sorry. Mystery boxes. But there it is. Painful to watch. Painful to review. And there it is. That's the episode. Thank you. Thank you for the well wishes. Hopefully, I'm going to rest the rest of the evening pretty much. So like I said, this is going to be like a slightly shorter stream. I couldn't exactly have a lengthy conversation about going into everything I wanted to go into. But that's the episode. That's about as much as I can say. And I'll be doing the same thing for the new episode next week. And so forth. So I don't know if I can promise videos throughout the week. It's all going to depend on how I feel. Because I'm losing my voice right now. So I'll see how I feel during the week. I don't even know if I'll be able to stream, really. I know I definitely can't stream tonight. So we'll see. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. But thank you for the well wishes. I'm going to sign off here. This show is really fucking stupid. That's all I can say to this. Have a good rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. Look for videos if I can drop them and streams. Yeah, that's my live channel. The trade just dropped. And I will see you all next time. Take care and be well, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. Peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.